I'm Sam.
And I'm Max.
And this is Movie Nostalgia, where we give you an honest review of the movie that we meddled with so mischievously over at Maybe Movies.
And on this episode, we will be looking at 2001's Evolution. This is the sci-fi comedy directed by Ivan Reitman, starring David Duchovny, Orlando Jones, I was going to say Carrie-Anne Moss, Julianne Moore, Sean William Scott, who has too many first names.
Too many.
Yes. Also starring Ted Levine.
What's the problem, officer?
Ethan Suplee, the great and one and only Dan Aykroyd, and Ty Burrell in his movie debut.
Was it really?
Yes.
Well, look at that, folks.
Yep. And I feel like I've missed somebody. Oh, yes, the god-awful Sarah Silverman as well. Thankfully, not for long.
Apparently, this man has an opinion.
Yeah, it's just a horrible human being. Anyway, sorry, yes. 2001, all of the sci-fi, all of the comedy.
It's multiple things at once, of course. It's a great little sci-fi movie. Very fun, very enjoyable, but also classic Reitman.
Yes.
In his attitude towards propriety and chaos.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think is the way to put it.
When did you see? Did you see this at the cinema or?
I'm trying to remember. I think I did see this at the cinema because I can remember seeing the shampoo anus, shall we say, on a big screen. So I think I did.
That's the thing he remembers.
It's a big anus. You'd remember it.
This is true. There's a lot of anus in this film.
So many orifices.
Yes, there's a lot of butt gags in it. I didn't see it at the cinema. So 2001, this would have been the height of doing hotel work, and so also when I moved as well, because this came out in June, which is shortly before I moved from Northamptonshire to West Sussex. So I would have missed it then. I actually think, if I remember rightly, would have been probably 2003.
Oh, so a good year after it came out, basically.
Yeah. My friend Dave, because by that point I was actually living in Warwickshire, and there was about 6 of us who shared a house, who were all working at the same hotel, and my friend Dave bought it, and on one of the rare occasions when at least half the house were actually off, weren't working, we got some beers in and sat and watched it.
Okay.
And in fact, now that I think about it, this might actually be Dave's coffee that I think he may have left behind when he emigrated to Finland. So if you want it, it's here, mate.
Come and get it.
But before we dive into this any further...
Yes?
Xadrum is more than just curious content on YouTube. We're also a small publishing house, with books covering a range of genres from 1940s pulp adventure to children's novels, and even a touch of the macabre for those who like their literature on the dark side. Our titles are available in both paperback and ebook formats. Ebooks are available on Amazon, but physical copies can only be bought exclusively through our website at xadrum.com. Jeff's got enough cash as it is, so why not help us little guys grow and thrive? Links can be found in our banner and in the description to all of our videos, and we look forward to helping you indulge your itch for escapism. So, this apparently came about because Ivan Reitman is a huge sci-fi fan. He remembers, as a kid, enjoying things like War of the Worlds, Invaders from Mars, all of those wonderful B-movie films.
Wait, so this
B-movie films? That's a tautology, sorry.
This wasn't the idea of Aykroyd?
No.
Because he's always been the more out there guy, you know, with the aliens and the thoughts and the things about stuff that can happen. As far as I'm aware,
Dan Aykroyd is only in this as an actor. He had nothing to do with the production. It was originally written...
Wow.
It was originally written by a guy called Don Jacoby, and his script, when it was sent to Ivan Reitman, it was a sci-fi thriller. All based on the concept that life starts, or is transferred from planet to planet through a process wonderfully called panspermia. That's the basic concept of it. But yeah, when Ivan Reitman got it, because his thing is comedy, they made some tweaks to the script. the original writer was really on board with it. He thought it was really cool and actually worked with them on the script, up to the final script.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because so many times guys like that get sidelined.
Yeah, or they get really po-faced about it.
Exactly. And the fact they had the opportunity to follow the entire idea through to its fruition, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's a success story.
And as I said, came out in 2001, starring David Duchovny, who turned down a role in Attack of the Clones to do this.
As a Star Wars fan, I cannot comprehend that. As an actor, I think I can see why, because he...
Well, I was trying to think, what would he...
Well, this is Reitman, this is working in his prime. He's proved himself several times over with Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and various other projects. He might have thought he had a career in the character, maybe? I don't know.
I suppose
I'm speculating. I am speculating.
Well,
I apologise.
I'm trying to think, because when I heard that, I was trying to think, what would he have been in Attack of the Clones? And the only thing I could think was Bail Organa, who only has a couple of scenes. If I remember correctly,
around about that time, it was after he had left X-Files, and he had joined the Red Shoe Diaries. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, a quasi-Cinemax type experience. I've never watched it, I don't know anything about it, but he had been doing that for several years at that point. So it was a bit of a renaissance for him.
Yes.
It was coming back into the big bad world of filmmaking.
Yeah, so well, it could simply be down to being a supporting character in a Star Wars film, or being the lead.
Yeah, no, I can see that. That's for him a comeback.
Yeah.
That's the big step.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I can see how it works.
Obviously, Reitman and his team took the script and sprinkled some magic on it, and this is the result, which it's a very underrated film. I think
it is. It gets a lot of bad press, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean, it did okay. It was made on a budget of 80 million and took 98.4. So it made its money back. Yes, something towards the marketing, but it wasn't a runaway success. Which is a shame when you look at the elements that are in this. Obviously, Ivan Reitman. All of the visual effects are by Phil Tippett, so no slouch to the effects world.
I sometimes wonder if it was the timing of the release that it just was the wrong time to bring out that film.
How do you mean?
I think it could have been a lot more successful.
Right.
Maybe if it come out 2 or 3 years earlier, the effects work that they did would have garnered a lot more attention at the time. It made its money back, but it didn't really...
It didn't turn a profit. No.
Yes. And I think if it had come out a couple of years earlier, it would have totally won over the audience. I wonder if it was the wrong product at the wrong time.
Could be. I don't know.
I am speculating, folks. I do apologise.
I have to look at what else was in the market at the time. I don't know. I mean, I did think while we were watching it this time that there is potential to a sequel to this, but it would have to be one that was set at the same time. It would be something like, obviously, another part of the meteor crashes down somewhere else, say like in the Arctic.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a different set. I know it's set off by heat, but they still carry the residual heat from having gone through re-entry. It would have been enough to trigger the process, but maybe it develops a different set of flora and fauna because of the environment that it lands in.
That was the whole concept, the whole conceit of the 10 base pairs is that you've got infinite variety of options.
Of course.
So yes, that would totally feed in.
So there you go, Hollywood. 10% and it's yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I really quite enjoyed this film an awful lot. Mm-hmm. Not just as a child of the 80s and a Reitman fan. This film's fun. It's a romp. And in the best sense of the term, it takes you on a ride and leaves you not wanting more, but satisfied with what you've experienced.
Yeah.
Except for the last minute and a half. I cannot apologise enough for the last minute and a half of this movie. I'm not sure if it was meant to be ironic, but it doesn't work. It's just an advert for Head and Shoulders. And that's it.
But that's it.
I don't know why.
I think I can answer that. At the time when the film was made, Head and Shoulders did not use selenium sulfide in their product, but they were planning to. So they used the release of the film as a way of marketing their new product. It wasn't anything that was implicit in the creation of the film. It was pure serendipity that they were bringing out Head and Shoulders Intensive, which had 1% selenium sulfide in it, and the release of that coincided with the release of the film, so that's why they were so on board with it, with them using it in the film.
I understand the argument you're making there, and it does make sense, but it doesn't make sense of the story.
No.
And that's the problem. It's just nonsensical. It's just tag on at the end.
Oh, it's just there for product placement. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It is literally Head and Shoulders paid us to make this movie. Like I said, even if it's meant to be ironic, no, I love this movie. I really do. I enjoy watching it a lot. But the ending drives me so a little bit nuts.
Right, shot. Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Do you remember if that advert was that in the cinema as well?
Yes.
Oh, right. Because I wasn't
It's
sure whether
always
it was,
been there, yes.
I wasn't sure if it was just on the DVD.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Interesting. Curious though that we mentioned, as we're talking about selenium, I think it's a thing with Ivan Reitman. Because when they're in the prison in Ghostbusters, Ray says there's a high content of selenium in the material used to build Dane's building.
I missed that. Nice touch. That's good.
Yeah, so it's obviously he's got a thing about it. Maybe he had nice shiny hair.
Obviously, I don't know, maybe he just thinks the word selenium sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds sciencey.
I'll agree with. I think it sounds cool.
It does.
Selenium, what does it do? Whatever you want. You know.
I did find out there's some interesting alternate castings, of people that they had looked at. So I think at one point they looked at Michael J. Fox as Wayne. Yeah,
even then he would be far too old.
Absolutely. Not surprisingly, Will Smith at one point as Harry, isn't it? Harry Block.
Too young. Mm-hmm. He was too young. He was always too young at that point. He was only like 23 or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, what was the other one? I think Jennifer Aniston at one point.
For
I've forgotten the character's name now.
What, Julianne Moore's character?
Yeah, I forgot the character name.
Let's see, that would be... she could have worked. She would have been the right age.
But I think Julianne Moore pulls it off. And the whole thing about the klutziness and clumsiness, that was her idea. She brought that to the character.
That's interesting because when you were saying about Jennifer Aniston, I was thinking back to certain episodes of Friends and thinking how clumsy she is in that and how well she did those scenes. So, okay, that blows my theory out of the water.
Yeah, I think she put that in there because at that point in her career, she was much more known for her serious roles. So a chance to do something that's a kind of pure comedy, she wanted to give it her all. She
wanted to wind it up to 100 at least.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course. That's what you do for comedy.
Yes. And always got time for Julianne Moore. She's fantastic. Again, I always think of this. I always think of The Big Lebowski as well. She's brilliant in that.
Vagina.
Oh, yeah?
I always forget she's in that.
But the other one was Robbie Coltrane as the General. That which I think could have been interesting. I mean, Ted Levine's always brilliant.
No, I'm not. I'm not sure how I would see how that would work.
I think it needed to be an American.
It had to be an American.
It had to
was
be an
in America.
American, yeah.
But why would Robbie Coltrane have worked?
I like Robbie Coltrane. He's pretty good at everything.
I've
never
him.
seen him in anything that he hasn't done well.
I do love him, but as that character in that role, I'm not sure I see it. I'll be honest.
That's, again, it's what could have been. It's what probably was in a parallel universe.
Somewhere out there, beyond the edge.
We haven't actually said what the film is about.
Oh, goodness, no. We have been talking rubbish for quite some time.
Well, it's you. I did the introduction.
Oh, it is me. So this is the tale of a small town. What was it called again?
Glendale? Is Glen Cove?
Glen Cove.
It's either Glen Cove or Glen Creek. I can't remember. Glen County? Yeah, Glenn County.
In
Community
Glen County, in New Mexico, where a meteorite of quite significant size collapses a cave system, and a number of local people go out to investigate it and find that it's producing life at quite an alarming rate. Their discovery causes many shenanigans and leads to much stuff.
Which is all you need to know going in. It's very much in the vein of a lot of Ivan Reitman films, and he was a big believer in this, championing the everyman and giving him a chance to stand in the limelight, highlighting the failures and also sometimes to the embarrassment of the professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I can see how that works into his philosophy. It's done quite well.
It's done quite well, but again, I think as we did so when we were watching it, and about the bad press that it's had, some of that is because people always look at it because it is an Ivan Reitman and compare it to Ghostbusters. And I think we kind of said it has very many similar beats to Ghostbusters, it's in a different tune.
Yeah, it's structurally very similar to Ghostbusters in that it hits many of the same beats, but it does so in a completely different order, with a completely different set of characters in a completely different set of circumstances. So although it has things that you might recognise if you're an aficionado of Ghostbusters or its sequels, it's still its own thing, with its own characters telling its own story. So I don't think it deserves the bad treatment it's gotten from people in the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
It's not a copy of Ghostbusters. It's just got a similar sensibility, which makes sense when you consider that it is made by the same man who made Ghostbusters.
As you said, it is a fun sci-fi comedy romp. It's a feel-good film.
That is good.
And it's definitely worth your time if you haven't seen it. Check it out. If it's been a while since you've seen it, check it out again. It's definitely worth giving a look.
And it's got a lot of comedy for everybody of all ages or mental ages, if you like to think that way.
Absolutely. I'm giving it the 2. I had a great time watching it, and I'm sure I will have a great time the next time I watch it as well.
Ditto, buddy. Ditto.
Cool. But, ladies and gentlemen, please, at home, please remember, it's not over until the fat lady explodes into a swarm of mind-controlling bloodworms. We'll see you next time.
Indeed we will. As always, guys, TTFN.